Thank you all for joining the webinar. My name is Niyoti, and I am the Staff Technical Support Analyst working with BMC Client Management Product. Let's get started with today's webinar. In this webinar, I will share information to help gain a deeper understanding on how patch management works, factors to consider as you work with it, and keys to success. To do that, I'm going to stitch together several related topics and demos covering key configuration prerequisites, how patch inventory collection works, making wise choices between patch jobs and patch groups, understanding patch deployment workflow, and tracking progress to successful completion. Now, why patch management? Patch distribution can be tremendously valuable. However, this functionality has a lot of choices. My goal in this presentation is to make clear some key choices and things to keep in mind as you decide on how to use the product. Here are some key features that will help you understand the module better. During the initial phases of the patch management process, organizations will generally identify a number of upgrades that needs to take place and patches that need to be applied. Performing all of these upgrades and patch deployments at the same time would be incredibly risky. Therefore, an effective inventory management system is necessary to identify and deploy patches in an orderly and controlled manner. Inventory patch management gives the option to sort patches or service packs by different criteria like severity, product name, or product family. It also helps organizations to identify any missing patches or service packs, as well as to keep track of patches and service packs that have already been installed. BCM Patch Management also has a support for Microsoft and non-Microsoft solutions. BMC Client Management allows you to quickly and efficiently scan for, download, and install the latest patches for Microsoft and other third-party applications. References slide at the end of the presentation includes a link to a list of products that BMC Client Management can patch. Make sure to have a look at it. BCM provides a scheduler that allows you to define a specific times for deployment. This scheduler helps you optimize your resources and ensures that deployments run smoothly. By setting up a specific schedule, you can ensure that deployments can occur during off-peak times, reducing the chances of delays and poor performance. Additionally, you can deploy specific patches at certain times, ensuring that critical patches are applied quickly while low severity patches are deployed at a more leisurely pace. Next we have is tracking statuses. Patch job and patch group statuses provide detailed information on the installation, reboot, and transfer processes, making it easy to stay up to date on all relevant activities. Everything can be tracked through the status and details column. New statuses introduced in the latest versions are designed to provide more granular detail, so user can quickly identify when a patch is waiting to be activated, or it has been blocked, or is waiting for a specific window before installation can begin. This helps user keep better track of their patching process and troubleshoot any issues that may arise. Finally, dynamic downloader. This component automatically downloads patches or service packs as per the defined criteria like severity, product family, name, affected devices, etc. When a new patch or a bulletin is detected, download process happens as soon as the criteria is met. For instance, if the criteria is set to download all security patches for Microsoft Office 365, all the required security patches for O365 will be automatically downloaded as soon as they are detected. Let's switch gears and look at the patch management configuration prerequisites and the configuration itself. Now, in the prerequisites, it is vital that the license for patch management and patch knowledge base must be present. To check whether the module license is present, you can navigate to Global Settings, Licenses in BCM console. BMC Client Management must be installed on both the patch manager and all devices that needs to be patched. It must be a Windows server and should have internet access for downloading patches. Additionally, the Windows server must have sufficient storage of at least 50 gigabytes to support the installation of the required updates. Lastly, the patch management module must be loaded on both the patch manager and the devices that requires patching. To check whether the module is loaded, you can go to the highlighted path mentioned here. Now let's look at the patch management configuration. In the BCM console, navigate to Patch Manager, the patch manager you have selected, and Configuration. An important part to look at is the current status of the patch knowledge base. Ensure that the database status is always up to date with the most recent last update and last check date. A daily check for the latest patch KB update is performed at 11 pm. This schedule can be changed to fit your requirements. Whenever a new patch KB is acquired from BCM's patch vendor Ivanti, it will update the patch manager's KB and send it to the master server. This is done so that the next time a client requests a new patch KB, master will provide it and a new patch inventory will be generated on the client device after the patch KB evaluation. Alternatively, if you want to perform the update manually, you can click on Check for Update. If the status is out of date, click Update and wait for the update to complete. This usually takes a minute or two. In recent versions, you can define proxy settings for each of your device. A single click will take you to the proxy configuration page. Last one is path for local patch repository. Some patches must be manually downloaded on the patch manager because vendors do not provide a direct link to complete the download. In such cases, the local patch repository comes into play. You can add such patches to a folder you create, like C patches. Make sure the name of the patch must be exactly same as the requested file name. The likes of Java, Ultra VNC, Windows 10 upgrades, etc. are examples of such fixes. Now that we have seen how patch knowledge base update works, we'll now proceed to the patch inventory collection. As previously stated, patch inventory provides an overview of missing patches and service packs, as well as install patches and service packs, along with their severity, patch type, product name, and patch return code. This page displays the device's patch inventory. It shows missing patch list with the total count of missing and installed patches. It is very important that the knowledge base status should be updated so that we have the updated list of missing or installed patches and service packs. All the important information, such as patch name, severity, language, product name, etc., can be viewed in the list of patch inventory. Depending on this list, we can decide what needs to be patched. Let's check out the patch inventory collection in action. We'll look at a typical scenario in which the server hosting the patch manager and master server is the same server. Relay is a Windows server with numerous clients under it. When a client requests a patch inventory, it first checks with its parent Relay to see if the most recent inventory list is there or not. Relay will connect to the master server if it does not already have the requested information. Master server then compares the patch inventory against the installed operating system and applications to determine which updates are needed by client device. The relevant or necessary patches are then sent by the master to the client devices. This ensures that the patch inventory reflects the most up-to-date information. At the end, the client uploads this updated inventory to its parent relay or master in order to integrate it with the BCM database. Once the inventory information is updated in the database, the devices affected by the patch are accurately identified, allowing for a more efficient patch deployment. Now that we have seen how patch inventory collection is done, we are now ready to move on to another important aspect of patch management: two mechanisms of patch distribution: patch jobs and patch groups. Patch job is an automated process based on product criteria and vendors. Patch group, on the other hand, is a manual process for chosen patches. Now, scheduler in patch job allows you to set time frames and it will automatically patch the devices that meet those criteria. This saves both time and effort. Patch group schedule can be set, but it is only valid till one successful execution. So even if a new device is added or a patch installation fails on the already added device, you will always have to reactivate the group in order to start the installation. By keeping an eye on the situation, you can spot any potential changes and, if necessary, take the appropriate steps. Patch groups is a more manual process since it requires users to add or remove individual patches or devices manually if they want to change the group configuration. Patch Job makes it easy to keep up with the variety of products and devices, allowing you to quickly and easily stay on track with your patch schedule. Patch Group, on the other hand, gives you the control to modify your system and ensures that only the precise updates required are applied. Let's see the demonstration to understand more about how Patch Job and Patch Group works. In the console, go to the Patch Management, Patch Jobs, right-click on it, and create Patch Job. This window will help you define the name of the patch job. Let's say Google Chrome. Click on Next. In this window, you can define what kind of patches you want to deploy. You can select patches based on applications type and severity. For this demo, let's consider important and critical and keep the type as security patches. You also have an option to exclude the patches which needs to be acquired from vendor. These are the same patches that we previously spoke about while discussing the local patch repository. You can check this box to avoid adding such patches. Next section details the patch release date restriction. We have three options: no restrictions, apply patches not released within last days, apply patches released until. First option is pretty self-explanatory, where there will be no restriction on patch release dates. In the second option, let's say if we set 30, by setting 30, patches released during last 30 days will be ignored. Third option lets you define a date. All the patches released after that date won't be taken into account. For now, we will set it up as no restriction. Next is product family name. Here you have two options. Always patch the full list of product families and patch only these selected product families. The first option will patch all product families based on the selected criteria. The second option, on the other hand, will let you select the product family. As we have named our patch job as Google Chrome, we'll go ahead and select Chrome as our product family and click on Next. On the previous page, we saw what to deploy. Now we will see how to deploy. These settings will help you set a schedule to apply patches. The first option you see on this page is Wake Up Devices. This option can be used to remotely power on managed devices. However, to enable it, your managed device requires LAN adapter that can activate the Wake on LAN functionality. If your network adapter settings are configured correctly, and if you have tested this before in BCM, you can use it in the patch job as well. We'll keep the option unchecked for now. Now in the deployment schedule section, you have to define a frequency at which patch job is to be executed. Drop-down will help you define daily, weekly, and monthly options. For example, I want to patch my device every second Saturday. So I will select second and I will select Saturday. Time period section will let you decide the exact time frame at which you want to initiate the deployment and end the deployment. If you select deploy only during this time, you get two options. Allow files to be downloaded to devices prior to start time, and second is do not download files to device prior to start time. The first option suggests that as and when the patch inventory is updated for the device, Patch Manager will start downloading those patches, and when the schedule hits, the installation will be performed. If we select the second option, the download happens just before the execution starts. So for now, we can select allow files to be downloaded to devices prior to start time. The next is start and end time. Start and end time is a time frame in which the installation will be performed. If we do not define the end time, the execution will run till the installation is completed. Now, if we define an end time, patching will stop at the end of the time period. Even if your patches are not installed at that point, the remaining patches will be resumed at the first task during the next window. The second option is deploy anytime according to the above schedule. When we check this, patches will be applied whenever available. So for this demo, let's select daily and click on next. On this page, you have three options: assign device groups, assign devices, unassign. For now, I will select assign devices. I will select the device and click on OK. I'll click on finish. As soon as I hit finish, you can see a page will be displayed with all the information which we have selected during the patch job creation. The severities which we selected, critical and important, the type we selected as security patches, the patch window, the product family, everything can be seen here. Now let's check the available tabs. The first one is active patches. Active patches will show the patches which are currently required by the assigned devices. As we selected Google Chrome and only one patch was missing on that device, it will only list that patch. As you can see, the status is set to be downloaded and the total number of devices affected by this patch. We'll see the next tab, which is assigned devices. During the configuration, we assigned a specific device to it. As you can see, the details show that the transfer is in progress, meaning the download is already completed and the patch is now getting transferred on this affected device. You also have an option to assign device groups. As we have just selected one device, we will skip this part. Next is deployment options. These are the default options defined by the patch deployment. When you click on this link, it will take you to the patch deployment options page. As I have not made any changes on this page, I'll click on cancel. Now next tab is history. History will show you when was the last time patch job evaluation was done. It will also show you the count of the installed patches, pending patches, critical pending, failed, and the number of devices assigned to the patch job. Now let's go to the active patches tab. As you can see, the Google Chrome patch is installed on the device. If I go to the assigned devices, the same status will be shown here. If you want to take a quick look at the process of the installation, you can right click on it and click on view log file. Log file will show the entire process. I will close it. If at any point you want to make any changes to the patch job, you can do so by right clicking anywhere in active patches or in assigned devices and select edit patch job. It will take you to the same options which we defined earlier. You can make changes to these options and click on finish. This will reevaluate the whole patch job and you will be presented with the new options. That's how the patch job functions. Now let's see how the patch group works. Go to patch deployment, right click and select patch service pack distribution wizard. On deployment page, you get two options: automatic deployment and customized deployment. Let's go with the second one. Click on next. On the second page, you have three options: bulletins only, patches only, and service packs only. You can select the option depending on your requirement. For this demo, we will select patches only. Now under patches only section, you have start date and end date. You can define the start date and end date of the patches from the calendar given here. Patches only from that time frame will be displayed in the below list. Next section is contains. This option will let you define the name of the patch which you're looking for in the below list. For example, if you're looking for a Chrome patch, you can simply type Chrome in this field. All the available patches for Chrome will be displayed below. For now, I will remove the filter. Will only keep affected devices option checked. This option will display patches which affects at least one device from your environment. Next we have is exclude patches to be acquired from a vendor. This option is same as what we saw in patch job. The only difference is you can keep it unchecked, as patch group will help you patch such devices through local patch repository. You also have an option to explicitly define the severity, type, and product family name. For now, we'll keep all the options as default and we'll select any one patch from the list for deployment. Let's pick this Windows patch, add it, and then click on next. This page will ask whether you want to create a new patch group or you want to add the selected patch to the existing patch group. Now that we do not have any existing patch group in the environment, we will go with the first option, click on next. On the patch configuration page, give a name to a patch group. Let's say Windows Test, click on next. On the Assign Devices page, same as Patch Job, you can either assign a device group or device groups, or assign a device or multiple devices. For this demo, let's add a single device. Click on OK and click on Next. On Download Options page, you get to choose the patches which you can download based on the severity so that the devices are readily available to patch. From this drop-down, you can choose between three options, whether you want all the patches to be downloaded even if the devices are not affected by it, or you want to download patches for all managed devices within your network, or you want to download the patches for devices which are only a part of the patch group. For now, let's select the last option. Click on Next. On the Patch Languages page, US English will be selected by default. If you want to change the language or select multiple paths, you can do so by checking the required options. Let's keep it default and move on to the next page. As you can see that the patch shows available and ready to be downloaded. Click on OK. On Pre-installation Parameters page, you can display a customized message on end user screen letting him know that the patches are now getting installed. End user will also have an option to extend the countdown timer. This can be done by checking this box and defining the required values. Last one on this page is operational rule. This has been introduced in later versions of BCM, where you get an option to assign an operational rule before the execution starts. Operational rule lets you run selected operations remotely on managed devices. To do so, you can click on the Browse button and select the rule from the list. For example, I will select Join Domain and click on OK. So before my installation begins, Join Domain operational rule will first be executed and only then the installation will initiate. Click on Next. Under Installation Parameters, you have multiple options like Quiet Mode, which will silently perform the installation of the patch if checked. Stop on Error. Stop on Error is used when you want to stop the execution if any one of the patches fail to install. Lock Mouse and Keyboard will lock the usability of mouse and keyboard at the target device. And before locking this functionality, a message will also be displayed to let the end user know about the same. Last two options are introduced in the later versions of PCM and can only be used in case of Windows 10 updates. Encryption driver path lets you define a path to the encryption drivers, and path of the script to run after setup is complete lets you define a local or a UNC path to a file named setupcomplete.cmd. As I said, both these options will only be used in case of Windows 10 updates. Click on Next. This page gives all the reboot related parameters, whether you want to perform a reboot after the deployment or not, or you want to shut down after the reboot is performed. You also get an option to display a reboot pop-up on the end user screen. This will let the user know that the installation is done and now the reboot will be performed. In reboot parameters, you can also give user an authority to cancel the reboot if required, reboot as soon as the device is disconnected, or force reboot if the session is locked. Same as pre-installation parameters, countdown timer can also be defined for reboot option. User is allowed to delay the reboot as per the defined settings. Last is only reboot if requested by patch. By default, it is checked. However, it is recommended to keep it unchecked as some patches may require more than one reboot for successful installation. I will keep it unchecked. Now click on Next. Last page is the patch group scheduler. This will let you define a day, date, and time period to apply patches. However, the cycle will end after one execution. So every time a new device is added or any changes are made to the patch group, you will have to reactivate the group so that the patching is successfully performed on your devices. For now, I'm applying it immediately and hence will keep the default schedule as selected. Now I'll click on Finish. Now a confirmation box will be displayed. It reads, do you want to automatically activate the patch group? If we select yes, the download and the installation process will begin. You also have an option to go to the patch group directly. So I'll check that box and click on yes. As you can see, the patch group is created. We'll go to the Patches tab and check the progress of the patch download. As the download is completed, the status shows available and the device count shows as 1. Now, if you go to Assigned Objects and Devices, you will see the device which we assigned to the patch group. The status shows affected by at least one patch in the group, and the details shows waiting for activation. Within a couple of minutes, you will see the status has changed to installation complete reboot schedule. Once the reboot is successfully performed, the status will change to not affected by patches in the group, and the details will show not activated. That is how the patch group works. As we saw patch group and patch job in action, let's take a deeper look at how it operates. The first step in patch group is patch detection. Patch detection occurs either through patch inventory or patch detection component. It operates similarly to patch inventory but displays the result on a dashboard in various categories. Once we obtain a list of the missing patches, we add those patches to the patch group. As soon as these patches are added to the patch group, download for all begins. By default, these patches are downloaded to the master's installation directory at Data Vision 64 database patches. The patch module then begins an evaluation to determine how many devices are impacted by these patches. Later, we start assigning devices to the patch group based on the evaluation. Once the devices are activated, the next step is device requests for a missing patch from the patch manager. Patch transfer process initiates and the status changes to transfer in progress. When all these patches are transferred successfully, only then the installation will start. Lastly, when the installation completes, a new patch inventory is uploaded and status changes to not affected by patches in the group and details column shows not activated. Let's review the patch job workflow. The procedure does not change, but the concept of adding patches in assignment does. To make the assignment in the patch job simpler, a dynamic group is created. For example, you can create a dynamic group by building a query to list the devices running Windows 10 operating system. Now, each new Windows 10 device added to the BMC will automatically be added to this group and the corresponding patch job. Patch selection process is based on the product vendors and criteria as we saw in the demo. Based on the products and severity you have chosen, the scheduler helps you in determining the order of priority for your patching. After the selection phase is finished and a patch job is created, the download procedure begins. The background procedure continues to be the same as patch group. The only difference is that patch job gives you the option of downloading patches either in advance of the schedule's beginning or after it has begun. After this, the patch transfer and installation begins. Through the file store module, the transfer process will begin and the details column will change to transfer in progress. Once the installation completes, the details column will change to installation complete reboot schedule. After the successful restart of the device, the status will then update to installed. We have seen the demonstration and the workflow of patch group and patch job. Lastly, let's quickly check the different statuses in these two mechanisms. Let's start with patch group. When a device is impacted by a patch, the status changes to affected by at least one patch in the group, and the details section shows not activated. To begin the distribution process, we must first activate the patch group. Only after that, the details section will display activated. When the schedule has not yet begun and you're waiting for it to hit, waiting for activation will appear. The following step will evaluate whether the patch group is scheduled to run on a specific day or time. If this is the case, the details section will show installation planned. Installation planned will be displayed until the execution begins. If not, it will remain an installation planned for a few moments until the transfer starts. It will change to transfer in progress during the transfer. Only after the patch transfer is complete does the installation begins. In that case, the details section displays installation in progress. The details section will state some patches failed in instances when updates were not installed due to a failure, and you can inspect the log file to understand what went wrong. On the other hand, when the installation is complete and the patch requests a reboot, it will display installation is complete and a reboot may be necessary. In this case, the module will be suspended until the reboot is performed. After successfully rebooting the device, the status will change to not affected by patches in the group and the details to not activated. When you add a new device to the patch group that doesn't yet have its patch inventory published, you will see the status as patch inventory not yet uploaded and the details as not activated. Patch job statuses are somewhat different from patch group statuses. When the distribution process begins for a patch job, the status changes to execution pending and the details will display transfer in progress. After the transfer is finished, the message will read installation complete, reboot scheduled, which denotes that the reboot has been scheduled but has not yet occurred and that the patch management module is currently in suspended condition. The system will remain in execution pending as long as no reboot is performed. You'll also be able to see waiting for execution, which denotes that the patch window was waiting to start. As soon as the window starts, it will again go into transfer in progress. The patch job status will then change to installed after the reboot has been performed. You'll come across the statuses of to be downloaded and download failed. As both are quite self-explanatory, I won't go in details. The status patch inventory not yet uploaded is similar to what we saw in patch group. A newly added device might occasionally be assigned to the patch job as a result of a dynamic group creation. Therefore, the status will stay the same as long as the inventory is not uploaded. Here are some helpful links to use whenever you're working on patch management modules. You can also find the latest updates on all BMC products through the BMC community link. Here are the highlights of today's learnings and observation. As we saw, patch management features helps organization ensures that their system stays up to date with the latest security patches, software updates, and other important requirements. It allows organizations to keep track of their systems and inventory, ensuring that they are always compliant with the necessary regulations. We also saw two patching mechanisms, patch group and patch job. Both options have their own advantages and disadvantages, but they both provide additional control when patching systems. The underlying processes of creating patch job and groups were explored in detail, providing us with a better understanding of their implementation. In conclusion, I would like to say PCM's patch management keeps the environment up to date, ensuring the ideal user experience. I really hope the webinar was helpful. Thank you for attending.